Hi there, I'm Adrian Atkinson and this is Jamaica Magazine. Between the pages today, a very relevant issue, diabetes. Protect yourself and loved ones against being diagnosed with this disease.
How you eat is very important. And one of the things I always try to point out, look, I'm not too worried about your breakfast and lunch. You have enough up and down during the day to work it off. But that evening meal, I want you to go more for salads, vegetable type thing.
Then later, how to stay connected with your children, plus the top service woman and organization of the tourism sector takes center stage. Stay with us for those features and others.
Know your numbers and control the keys to a healthier heart. Know the numbers for your blood pressure, cholesterol level, blood glucose level, and your weight and body mass index. Find out the risks they represent and what you need to do to stay healthy. Talk to your doctor and start making healthy lifestyle choices to prevent a heart attack or stroke.
Diabetes is an illness which affects many Jamaicans. It's one leading cause of death in the country. Up next, Executive Director of the Diabetes Association of Jamaica, Professor Errol Morrison, shares on research in the field and what you need to know about the disease. Watch this.
Thanks for joining us for Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. Today we speak to the Director General of the National Commission for Science and Technology, Professor Errol Morrison. We want to talk about the significance of science and technology in national development. Thank you so much for your company. Professor Morrison, it's always good to chat with you.
It's a pleasure.
Good. And congratulations on achieving the National Medal for Science and Technology this year. And this is a lifetime achievement.
Yes. I was really pleased that I could be singled out in such a way. And what I tried to indicate in my acceptance was the fact that when we talk about science and technology, it's not new in the sense that from way back in the 50s, I had a headmaster called Wesley Powell at Excelsior. Who, this was about 1958, he literally declared, look, science is the future of development. And he began to stream the classes, right? The A stream and some of the B stream were the sciences, and then you had languages and the humanities and so on. And that is where it started. And mind you, what he introduced at that time, which was again not the norm, he introduced what we called at that time woodwork and metalwork and construction drawings. You see, all as an aspect of engineering and architecture in a sense. And that was the beginning of the technical schools coming on. The man was quite a visionary. Yes. And so that was there and then. And then what I also recalled, in anybody's life, there are certain influences as you're going along. And I had a supervisor at Victoria Jubilee when I was doing some of my early medical care. And Keith Tang would say, look, fellows like you must excel, grow tall. Yes. And the leaders in the society will call you to serve. Right? Just grow tall.
Grow tall.
And then
blaze the path of excellence.
Absolutely. And then you will recall Manley West.
Oh, yes.
Professor John Manley. I again was apprenticed to him for a while early in my research days. And Manley would always say to me, look, Morrison, if you're doing only one thing at a time, you're wasting time. So, I mean, all of that is just hard work.
Yes.
You know, I mean, that's what it
Years.
is depicting. Hard work. And
you established yourself as the premier diabetologist in Jamaica, with world renown.
well, it's interesting, you know, here, because when I took that kind of line in the 70s,
Yes.
you know, my consultants, not even to mention colleagues, said, diabetes.
Diabetes.
Look, man, if you're a medical man, you must specialize in heart or brain or bone. Nobody specializes in diabetes. But they didn't understand the role of science. And that because, remember, you know, medicine comes out of the work of art. Literally, you know, you understood and you would apply based on a lot of, you know, practices at the time. But in the 60s, 70s, we're just beginning to understand the role of, you know, the cell and how the chemicals in the cell work and cause diseases. And as such, diabetes lends itself very much to that. So the whole science preparation that I have been going through just lent, and I don't think I was really foresighting, but I was just led in that direction. And at the time, the fellows around you just didn't see it. But
Was diabetes a big problem in Jamaica at that time, 70s?
not
Medical problem.
that we recognized, because even then, I can recall visiting one of the hospitals, you know, children's hospital in particular, not very common in children, I must say. But then the senior medical officer at the time said to me, look, if we have 3, we have a lot, you know. But as you went out into the field,
Yes.
then you began to recognize a lot of things that people call the black sore or, you know, the heart attacks and so on.
But related to diabetes as a source?
Yes. Nowadays, we are seeing diabetes as almost as a heart disease.
Yes.
Because after 10, 15 years, there's hardly anyone with diabetes who will not have some kind of heart damage.
Heart damage.
You know, so, and it has literally taken over in terms of our recognition of the condition.
yes, I
because I firmly believe there's nothing new under the sun, right? And whilst you may say our lifestyle might have been contributing to more and more of the problem that we see now, but diabetes has been around for a long time, you know, and in the early days, we just didn't recognize
it.
some of the problems, you know. Because it's a common thing when your man would tell you, look, I peed against a tree or I peed against a wall. And when I was walking back, unstick it, as you call it. I mean, the answer there because of the sugar, you know. And don't forget, you know, in the early days, we used to diagnose diabetes by tasting it, you know. You put the finger in the urine and...
That's how people used to. That was
the
and pre-scientific.
So you know, it is a long haul, and we're now recognizing that it's there. And of course, our lifestyle is not helping.
Of course,
because we now recognize overweight.
Yes,
I think you've heard the minister speak about the obesity problem
of course.
that we're seeing. That is the single most important cause of the common form of diabetes, what you call the type 2 or the adult, you know, diabetes. Yes. So our lifestyle is measured.
As affected. We're going to take a break. We're talking to the country's premier diabetologist, Professor Errol Morrison, known for research in a number of areas, but certainly the area of diabetes research is one in which he has distinguished himself, and he recently became the recipient of the very prestigious National Medal for Science and Technology, recognizing his work, particularly in this area. We take a break, but we'll be right back.
Cancer, stress, high blood pressure. Guard yourself against these potentially deadly conditions by eating healthy. Give your body long life with foods such as low-fat milk, dried and fresh peas and beans, unsalted nuts and seeds, fresh vegetables, fruits and coconut water, and eliminate processed seasonings such as seasoning salt, soy sauces, and ketchup. When it comes to meats, remember to remove the skin to reduce the intake of fats and oils. Meats should also be baked, steamed, grilled, or roasted. Fish is also a preferred protein option. To eat healthy, fill your body with a variety of foods from all the food groups. And remember, eat at a slow pace and in small bites to help aid digestion. This helps to maintain a healthy, balanced, and nutritious diet, strengthening your body to ward off illness and prolong life.
Thanks for rejoining us for this interview with Professor Errol Morrison, leading diabetologist in Jamaica. Professor Morrison, this diabetes challenge is a big challenge. What are some of the things that Jamaicans ought to do to deal with this challenge? One, those who don't have diabetes now and those who have it, what can they do to manage it?
We have been talking a lot about, how it might run in the family. Mm-hmm. And so if you are able to identify that the family had it in some way, then you should be on the lookout. That is an important consideration. There are certain other indications, women, for example, who have large babies. It's not a sign of, buoyancy and healthiness. Big babies indicate that the babies during the development were not getting the proper nourishment as it should. And so it comes out in this called a swollen, big 12-pound babies and so on. I was actually one of those.
You're one of the 12-pound babies, yes.
But these are indicators that there's an underlying, problem in how the body is working, and watch out for diabetes. But whilst we say all of that and we talk about overweight, one of the single most important things, is just the waist, with this fat around the middle.
Waist,
yes. Men
yes.
with waistlines over 40 or women with waistlines over 35 are at risk for developing diabetes. That's one of the single most important indices now. And we also go back and we look at things like, your weight for your height, but that does not really indicate how the overweight is distributed.
Oh yes, true.
Because in women, the weight is the fat is distributed around the hip largely, and in men it seems to be more around the abdomen, what we call the rum belly and so on. And that is an unfortunate term.
Cameraman here testing. Yes,
it's an unfortunate term because when you look at the African physique, however, be it male or female, we tend to have this large trunk, narrow hips, and the long legs. That's what helps us to run fast. So some of the things that may be a disadvantage can have an advantage in other areas. But the point is, this waist and the distribution of the fat around the waist is a single most important contribution. So we say,
around Christmas time, we have to be careful about that.
I would hasten to add the eating.
The eating, yes.
And one may say, look, I'm going to tighten up for Christmas.
Yes.
But you need to tighten up full stop.
Generally.
Right across the board. And how you eat is very important. And one of the things I always try to point out, look, I'm not too worried about your breakfast and lunch. You have enough up and down during the day to work it off. But that evening meal, I want you to go more for salads, vegetable type thing, because you don't have too much starches that will cause your sugars to get high. So when you're sleeping, it's converting to fat. So it's important. That's an important thing to watch out for and to help to prevent the oncoming diabetic problem. But also the diet alone, and I don't want to use the word diet, just eating alone is not the only thing. You have to combine that with the physical activity. And you notice again, you're about to say exercise. And I hold back. Is it? Because when you say exercise already, I need to go to the gym, I need to all kind of profile. But just the physical activity. We want, even if you walk around your bed, 15, 20 minutes a day is very important.
Very important.
Because you're going to burn off some of that excess energy.
Sitting at the desk 14 hours and long.
Not good. That's sedentary. So we want, and remember, it's a combination now. Controlling what you put in the eating and working off some of that in the physical activity. That's the treatment and the prevention of diabetes,
That's it.
People are talking about tablets and injections and so on. Those are secondary. In the major form of diabetes, which is one related to the overweight. You have the other form, as you would appreciate, where the organ's just not working, the pancreas, and therefore you have to take over and give injections. That's it's a smaller group, less than 10% of the whole diabetic population, and quite often in the younger age group, but it affects right across the board. But by and large, when you say diabetes, you're talking that overweight problem. And we need to knock it with a combination of how you eat and the physical activity. And that is the approach to prevent as well as to manage. Okay? Then now, this is where a lot of the research and the science has been coming in. how you're going to attack this blood sugar problem.
Yes.
You know, way back in the good old days, they thought, look, because the sugar is high, let us lock them up and starve them, right? And many would starve to death, you know. Mind you, that approach is coming back in a sense, because one of the latest, you know, medications that they're introducing is by saying, look, the sugar is high in the blood, right? Let us let the kidney let out more of it, so as to bring the sugar down. You see, and so it is a similar kind of approach, just trying to get rid of the sugar in the blood. And that is one of the approaches. But of course, the discovery of insulin, where we recognize that this little substance controls the blood sugars. And it's only 1922, you know, so it's only about 90 years since this life-saving, you know, discovery has come about. And what we're doing now, we have the capacity to produce this insulin. It's not just taking it out of the pig or out of the cows or so on. We can make it. We use bacteria or yeast or whatever, and we make it. And we can now introduce it in the body. Unfortunately, still by injection only, although we're still looking at ways of snuffing it or even swallowing it. But that is still, you know, still in the experimental phase. But giving insulin, because it's an insulin product, like insulin makes the body use, you know, the sugars that you take in. And so what we're saying is, if we can get it back in the body by whatever kind of administration, that's the way we're going to manage it. Okay, and then a number of tablets are being used to assist the insulin to make sure the insulin works better. You know, so it stays longer in the body, or if you prevent other substances that would antagonize insulin from working. So all these various drugs have been brought on the scene. But all of those are secondary actors. The main thing is that lifestyle. The
lifestyle.
Yes.
So we need to get the lifestyle under management. So beginning with us here in the studio, we pledge. we pledge, Mr. Fisher and all of us. We pledge to take that more seriously. We've been talking to Professor Errol Morrison, Director General of the National Commission on Science and Technology, and the recent recipient of the National Medal for Science and Technology. We're going to have him back because we have other scientific matters to talk about. We thank you for your company. Next week I'll be back. Until then, Ian Bourne wishing you a pleasant day.
Finger-licking jerk chicken, Helcher fish and bami, will run down yam and banana, roast breadfruit, sweet potato pudding. Jamaica food sweet. So let's make a pledge to use more local produce and less foreign goods. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow.
Every year, thousands of visitors come to the island not only for the sun, sea and sand, but also for superb customer service. Recently, workers who excel in this area were recognized and rewarded by the tourism minister. Take a look.
Tourism Service Excellence Awards National Champion in the individual category is Simone Folks.
Tourism Service Excellence Awards National Champion in the organization category goes to Couple Sans-Souci.
The massage therapist and the 150-suite romantic resort captured the overall titles in the reintroduced Tourism Service Excellence Program Awards. The Tourism Service Excellence Program TSEP Awards was held recently in St. James. It was introduced in 2008 and later shelved for 4 years until Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett announced its return last year.
It is the people of Jamaica that has made this industry what it is, and therefore we should not hesitate at all in extolling their virtues and in rewarding them for the work that they have done.
So the TSEP Awards, with all its glitz and fanfare, was reintroduced under the management of the Tourism Product Development Company, with support from the Tourism Enhancement Fund and private entities. Nominations for the awards were accepted from the accommodation subsector, attractions, ground transport and tour operators, craft artisans, customs and immigration officers, and red cap porters, to name a few. The winners were selected from 150 nominees. It began with the regional winners. The individual finalists included a tour guide from Kingston.
Just like what Bob Marley would say, irie. It made me feel irie.
Negril-based scuba diving instructor, customs officer from Montego Bay, hotel lifeguard in Port Antonio, and a spa therapist in Ocho Rios. The regional winners among organizations were Jamaica Pegasus for Kingston, Couples San Souci for Ocho Rios, Negril's Sunset at the Palms Resort, Trident Hotel for Port Antonio, Appleton Estate Rum Tour on the South Coast, and VIP attractions in Montego Bay. Simone Folks' road to individual island champion for tourism service excellence began with her employment in the housekeeping department at Sandals 4 years ago and evolved with her promotion to spa therapist.
The nominees, they were all exceptional and amazing, and just to be a nominee meant so much. Imagine to win for the resort area. I am blown away, and I now know I am capable of so much, and I'm ready to take on everything.
Couples San Souci won the organization title from an illustrious list of nominees.
They make me feel extremely happy, not for myself only, as an individual, but for the entire team, for the entire workers of Couples San Souci. They are extremely happy to be able to be recognized to be the national champion.
We are looking at ensuring that tourism becomes an avocation rather than a transition activity. So you don't come to tourism on your way to somewhere else. You come to tourism for a vocation with an income arrangement and a mobility and transitional activity that enables you to develop a career path. So you can be assured of sustainable employment in an industry which is a sustainable industry.
Nicky baby, come here. You understand, so I have to send you to your auntie so you can go to school and turn out better than me.
If you or anyone you know has been a victim of human trafficking, call 811 or 1-888-PROTECT. Be wise. Open your eyes. Spot them. Stop them. A message brought to you by the National Task Force Against Trafficking in Persons.
No, son. A verb is an action word.
Parents need to become more involved in their children's education.
Parents are the first and in many cases the most important teachers.
Read with your children. Review their schoolwork. Visit their school.
Tapping and rapping and slapping, I said.
Nice! High five! Woo!
A good education will never decay.
What comes to mind when you think of an excellent parent? Well, excellent parenting is a combination of a bit of all of these and much more. It is said that it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Parents are the chief builders of a child's character. The manner in which a parent adds each block during the various stages of a child's life, from infancy to young adulthood, will help determine whether or not that child's structure remains firm throughout his or her lifetime. And as with building any firm structure, exceptional parenting begins with a plan.
In fact, an exceptional parent is one who has a plan for their child, one who is intentional, one who schedules, and one who seeks out support. And those are the ideas that guide exceptionalism in parenting. It is a parent who understands that they are not just called to be parents, but they're called to be effective in what they do.
Andre Miller is the interim head of the National Parenting Support Commission, NPSC, which is responsible for helping caregivers parent effectively. He identifies 4 characteristics of an exceptional parent.
You want to nurture the intellectual capacities of your child or your children. So recognize that they are bright. Recognize that they have the capacities to do anything and everything. Their brains are elastic, and so it can stretch. In staying connected, it's important for you to recognize your child's achievements. So every time the child moves from 10% in math to 12% in math, recognize that incremental adjustment and honor it and reward it. Encourage the children to participate in extracurricular activities, so the ISCF, the Students' Council, be a part, be involved, because in empowering your child via these clubs, you'll find that they build their leadership capacities, which helps in critical decision making in the teenage years. So the child will not want to take on maladaptive behaviors because they understand the role that they play. Structure is very important, especially in the adolescence years, the teenage years. As the child forms his or her own identity, you will find that they will push the envelope. So they'll want to go to parties. They will want to stay out a little later than usual. They'll want to talk on the cell phones beyond 2 o'clock in the morning. It is important for parents to understand that these are the little things that will help to shape them. So it's important for you to say to your child and guide your child in using the cell phone wisely. So if you stay up until 2 o'clock, that will have a deleterious impact on your performance the following day. If you stay out late at parties, it will have an impact on you.
One of the NPSC's programs which provides this kind of guidance is the Parent Mentorship Program.
It's community-based, and what I like about it is that it uses parents. So it's peer-to-peer support. They go into communities, they bring resources into their communities. A lot of time parents are afraid to go out to look help. So if the help comes to them, they will take it. And our parent mentors ensure that. They make them feel comfortable through their home visits. They also have chaperoneship for their children. So no longer will you find children hanging out by themselves without supervision, because we have to ensure that our children are safe in their own inhabitant, and the community has to be the persons who take care of them. And so one of the things we push under the mentorship program as well is a development of a community of care.
So, parenting a child, especially during the adolescent years, is said to be a lot like flying a kite. You release more string for each year they grow until they are able to fly confidently on their own. But throughout, you're holding onto the end of that string, staying connected. Let's not lose our children to the different forces that may blow them off course. Be an exceptional parent. Stay connected. If you need more information on parenting skills, contact the National Parenting Support Commission at 976-7977.
Let's celebrate Jamaica to the world. Fastest man in the world. First Jamaican woman to win gold in Olympic 100-meter sprint. An upcoming global superstar. Mouth-watering meals. And a vibrant set of people. We are Jamaicans. Let's get together and bring back the love.
This is where we close the pages for today's show. Before we go, we leave this thought with you on leadership. The secret of your success is determined by your daily agenda. Remember, the information continues to flow on our social media pages. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You may also download our app from the Google Play Store, or for more features, click on our YouTube channel or visit our webpage at jis.gov.jm. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Happy Sunday.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.